Hey, Discern listeners, sister wives, let's watch.
Oh my gosh.
Well, and then the older kid, so here's another thing. When you come in fast and strong like that without listening, you set up this model behavior of reactivity and punishment. So she walked in and she heard that he had turned off the game, and the older boy was like, I don't know, I'm just here on my laptop. And then the mom's like, you're done. I'm going to take the laptop. And the older boy's like, what? But the older boy seemed like he kind of got it. He's like, oh, well, yeah, I guess I get that. I deserve this. The mom's leaving the room. I'm going to assume that the older boy thought he'd get away with it. I don't know. But he stands up because he had his thing. And, of course, he's being humiliated in front of the camera right now, right? And he goes over and he kicks the younger boy. So we've heard from Janelle that there's a lot of physical violence. And then you wonder, because there's so many kids, and maybe it's just a temporary thing for the rental, but I don't know, they have to share a room, which can make it harder. I mean, there's research on this, but there can be a benefit to sleeping in the same room because it's like you have to work things out, and you have to, instead of just slamming your door and avoiding working on things. So it kind of depends. But anyway, let's rewind.
Look at this.
No, I can. Too bad. You're grounded. You turned that off in the middle of his game. That is the worst possible mean thing that you've done all day.
I was wondering, so I heard someone talking behind the camera, and it was a woman's voice. So I was thinking maybe it's Christine, but I think it's actually a producer and or the camera person. And I think they actually grabbed the other boy. I think that must be Peyton, is my guess, because he's being more subdued, and I think because he's Christine's kid. And I think they grab him and push him into the frame because he's like nearby.
Look at this.
No, I can. Too bad. You're grounded. You turned that off in the middle of his game. That is the worst.
You see that? I don't see someone pushing him, but it certainly kind of looks like he's being rushed. And plus, why would he want to get in that mix? And you see him stand there. He's, okay, what do I do?
Possible mean thing that you've done all day. Did you really do it?
Yes, I did.
Okay, you're done. Sorry, we'll pick up your game in a couple of days.
So we didn't see the kick because Janelle was in the way, but it looks like it didn't look like he kicked him super hard enough. I think he kicked him in the knee or the thigh or something. So yikes on that. So yeah, my point is that when you walk in there and you take something, you're showing that you're not interested in emotions, you're not interested in hearing anyone talk, you're not interested in helping everyone feel understood. You're just there to punish and discipline, and that's that. And what that sets up is the kids learn from that of, okay, so especially if as a parent you're doing it emotionally. If she came in and she was just like, very calm, and she was, for the most part, she wasn't like completely flying off the handle, but if she was but anyway, my point is that it's like short bursts of punishment. If you rinse and repeat that, the kids learn, oh, I see, when you're upset, when someone's bothering you, short bursts of punishment. And that can translate into a child's mind to violence and kicking.
Oh my gosh. Cody?
Yes?
You better come up and handle this.
Okay, and then we see the wait till your father gets home kind of a thing. And Janelle says, oh my gosh. So I'm guessing Janelle walked in there, she walks out, she hears a kick, she walks in, and she's maybe about to lose her mind, I'm guessing. And she's like, oh, that's right, Cody's here. I'm going to pass the baton over. And, okay, we'll see what Cody does.
Okay. Ooh.
Yeah, that's a pretty good indication the child is not consenting to be filmed. right? And here comes Cody.
Somebody's really in trouble now.
I grounded your Harrison turned off. Gabriel's game in the middle of it. So, yeah.
All right. Well, what do you want me to do? Do you want me to just take Christine's kids home?
Yeah.
So then Cody comes up and, not talking to the kids, says, what do you want me to do? Do you want me just to take Christine kids home? And then Gabriel Garrison just called me an effing loser. Yeah, so I think it's Gabriel and Garrison, and they were the two that were fighting in the van that one time. So I will say that Cody started off by saying they're really in trouble now, and in terms of the edit, the thing that he says is, what do you want me to do? Do you want me to bring Christine's kids home? I think Peyton being one of them. Which, on the scale of bad things that he could have done, there's a lot worse things he could have done. I was worried he was going to come up and be even more punitive to the children, yelling at them or using harsh words or grounding them or something. And we don't know if that didn't happen or if it's not going to happen, but on the scale of things, it's not as bad as it could have been. It could have been better, and I've already been over what could be done.
I think you want to reconsider your behavior.
One of the biggest things I've noticed.
Okay, so then we hear, he used the real word, the F word, and then Cody puts his head in the door and says, I think you need to reconsider your behavior. On the scale of things, it could have been worse. On the scale of things with what Janelle did, it's probably a little better because the tone of voice is that says something. I don't know, it's just one isolated incident, but then you think, well, Cody doesn't have to deal with the kids most of the week, so for him, he has less frustration about it. I don't know. But he bops in and he says, I think you need to reconsider your behavior. And then I think the kid said, yeah, I know, okay. Yeah. It's a tall order to ask in terms of doing some of the things that I've been talking about earlier in terms of emotional regulation and empathy. It's a tall order because it's hard, it's frustrating. You only have so much time in a day, but it is what I wish I would see. I do wish I would be seeing that. I wish they would be doing that. I wish they did that. What's wrong with my grammar?
Noticed about not having Cody physically present in the area is when I'm parenting these teenage boys and their hormones start to kick in, and with the hormone comes these, they're trying to figure out their emotions and how to control their anger and all that stuff that comes along with that testosterone.
Okay, so it's one way of looking at it. It's certainly potentially a factor. Hormones have a huge effect on people of all ages, particularly pubescent people. But it's not the way I would recommend seeing it because it could be used as a way of justifying it. It's like, well, they have testosterone, so that's just what's going to happen. There's a lot of people with testosterone that don't do or have, a boost of testosterone, age 13, 12, that don't do this kind of stuff. And it could be a convenient way of letting yourself off the hook as a parent, which is fine. And I'm not saying it's their fault. And this might be once a year that this happens, and it's just what kids are going to do. Even if this happened once a week, it's just, but the kicking, that was the other incident we saw in the van I think 2 or 3 seasons ago. There's a violent impulse because you got to figure if we're seeing that and hearing about it, the camera's only there, I'm guessing 1% of the time throughout the year. So, ugh. And then the fact that the family isn't like, wait, what? He kicked you? Wait, stop the show. Everyone, we got to have a talk about, did you really kick him? It sounds like this is normalized to them. This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. So it's that time of year again. It's September, back to school, time to learn new things. And if you're a fan of this podcast, then I'm guessing you like to learn new things. But you might find that although you've learned a lot, you have a hard time applying this knowledge to better your life. This can be frustrating, you might know why you have a particular psychological issue, but you don't know how to use that knowledge to work on the issue. Well, that's where therapy comes in. A therapist can help you see how this knowledge applies to you specifically. And therapy also just gives you the time to focus on yourself outside of daily stressors. Well, one place you can find a therapist is at BetterHelp. If you're thinking of giving therapy a try, it's definitely worth checking out BetterHelp. So rediscover your curiosity with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/Kirk today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/Kirk.
So having Cody around helps when I'm trying to parent these teenage boys. I can always call him. He can always respond, but it's not the same as just being next door. So I have missed having him there.
You might want to check your behavior, okay? I need to check your behavior, and you better knock this off. Go to your room now. Go to your room now.
Hey, well, then I'm not going to school anymore.
Okay, they're editing it. The kid came down, there was words exchanged. We're only hearing, I don't know why include this scene if you're not going to show us what happened. So I don't know how to evaluate what Cody is saying there. The kid could have been completely out of line and Cody reacted well, or not. I just don't know.
Choices have consequences, and your actions have consequences, and your actions tonight have had consequences.
You know, the last thing I want them remembering for the next 3 days while I'm gone is me getting in their face and giving them the riot act. Sounds like a cop-out, maybe. I'm still figuring it out.
You're still figuring it out, even though you're a kid. Yeah, I mean, parenting, you're always figuring out. But okay, so he's back upstairs. Let's see how this goes.
Do you want to take a moment and try and make up with Gabe and everybody else?
Sure.
Well, then maybe you can come downstairs and apologize to Mom, to me, and to Gabriel. Okay?
Okay, yeah, it's heading in a better direction. I would love to hear some talk about emotions. Earlier, Cody's like, consequences, your behavior. And yeah, but, it's hard for kids to hold on to future consequences in the moment. That's the definition of being a kid. It's not the definition of being a kid. I hate it when people do that. It's not literally definition, but it is definitional or inherent to being a kid. Is you just don't think about the future. We don't ask kids to invest in the stock market. We expect them to think about what's right in front of their faces. That's just normal. So it's more helpful to give them the tools so that they can navigate their emotions in the moment instead of seeing everything. And I can't even tell you how many long conversations over months, years with parents, just trying to get them away from this way of thinking of that it's consequences that shape behavior. Yeah, it's not black or white, but if that's all you do, then yeah, it might shape some of their behavior, but what you want to do is give them the tools so that they can navigate a situation in the moment to choose for themselves what is likely best for themselves. It would have been best for himself to not turn off the video game of his brother, to not kick his brother, because I'm going to assume that older kid loves his younger brother and doesn't want to hurt him. Kids and religious folks can be like this, and non-religious people too, but I've heard it a lot from religious people, that not all religious people, but some, that like one of the things that I used to hear when there would be a debate between a religious person, like a Christian and an atheist, is the Christian would say, well, if you're an atheist, then all bets are off. You could murder someone, you could steal, you could cheat, because you don't believe in God. And that notion that the only reason why a Christian, not all Christians, would not murder and rape and steal is because they don't want to be punished by God. and if you don't have that looming over your head, you'll do things if you think you can get away with it. People don't operate that way, regardless of being an atheist or not. We seemingly have an inherent, especially when you're raised well, we have an inherent morality that is independent of consequences. Sometimes we choose the right action morally, even though we know it's going to cause worse consequences for us. Like, it's better off for us to do the wrong thing, but we choose the right thing because of an internal compass and integrity and honor and values. So to help the kids understand their emotions, understand why they do the things that they do, instead of always seeing it like, okay, we need to have consequences. Because that's probably, that seems to be their mindset, which is a very common mindset of how do we get consequences to interrupt that behavior so that the next time he thinks about doing it, he'll go, uh-oh, I'm going to run into consequences again. I'm not going to do that. Again, it's not black or white. That can work to some extent. But it would be much better if they don't even get to that point and they figure out what to do way back when, before they even get there, right? That's on their mind, like, oh yeah, I could get in trouble if I go down this road. But they have the tools to understand themselves and to better direct their behavior.
Better take it seriously. I feel like sometimes with my children, I have no credibility. But I'm not home all the time, so it does sometimes feel like I'm just a visitor when I come by.
Yeah, I could see that. In some ways, it's like he's like a step parent in a lot of ways. But I disagree. He says he doesn't have credibility. It looks like this older kid absolutely listened to his dad, because his dad had a much softer approach, and offered up a way out of this. And I'm guessing the older kid wants to repair, wants to apologize, doesn't like being humiliated, but wants to move forward. And so giving a kid the opportunity to do that is seemingly a good move, because it looks like he's going to do it.
Gabe, I am sorry.
You need to say you're sorry to Mom, and you need to say you're sorry to me, too.
I'm sorry, Dad.
Well, then you and Gabe got to shake.
It's just nice to have that father voice around.
Okay, so things seem to be going okay. So the younger one is Gabe, so that older one, I think, must be Garrison, because Hunter's starting to look like a teen at this point. So and there's Logan, who's going to college. But anyway, so we saw during the van fight that the mom was like, okay, hug it out, or was it Cody, one of them? And the younger one was like, no. And I was like, you don't want to push that, but it looks like they're okay with this and they're having a laugh. So, maybe 99% of the time they're getting along with each other, and then every once in a while they have a blowout. This interaction kind of looks like that maybe. But then also, if you're these kids, you could feel like you have to smile for the kid. I don't know.
You think Garrison's cooled down? I'm going to go talk to him now.
Yeah, I think he is. All right, I worry that he's not eating, so just check with him, okay?
I'll ask him if he's hungry.
In a way, it's been a good growing time for us all to kind of figure out who we were independently again. But it definitely feels like
Yeah, Janelle, this is a stressful situation, but I wonder how she's doing emotionally. There are some signs of, I don't know if it's depression or demoralization or feeling overwhelmed, stuck. She seems to shut down under stress, which can be a good thing, can be constructive and helpful. But I think we're seeing that pattern here.
Okay.
I'll ask him if he's hungry.
in a way, it's been a good growing time for us all to kind of figure out who we were independently again. But it definitely feels like I'm more separated, isolated from the rest of my family than being part of this big.
All right, well, that does it for that episode. Everyone out there, please take care of yourself, because you deserve it. You really, really do.